What's going on, Liverpool fans? It's your main man Ahmet back again with another video in the international break. I like to call this one a special anniversary video to talk about, Jurgen Klopp's 3 years in charge of Liverpool Football Club. Yeah, I mean, the time has just flown by really with Klopp in charge, and it's been a very, very eventful, very different period of the club. Really, I mean, the day that he came in to the club, I can't remember where I was. I think I was outside or something, going somewhere, and I got a message on the phone saying that Jurgen Klopp has taken over Liverpool Football Club. He's been appointed the manager. And I was in shock because I didn't actually feel that FSG were going to get rid of Brendan Rodgers. Rodgers had a average start to the 15-16 season. We started off very well, winning two and drawing one, and then I think there was an international break. And when we came back from the international break, I think we got tonked by West Ham, was it? Or I think we lost at Old Trafford and West Ham, and then I think a couple of draws, and then we headed off to the Merseyside derby, and it wasn't known to anybody that this was going to be Rodgers' final game. I mean, there was certain speculation and this and that coming out that Rodgers may end up getting the sack, and but we didn't believe it because FSG brought him in as a young manager, an unproven manager, basically, to see what he can do over a prolonged period of time, maybe let's say 5 or 6 years. And nobody actually thought that he would get the sack because don't forget, previously this was the man that took us to second place in the league, and Liverpool nearly won it that season, the 13-14 season. We were so close, 2 points away from actually lifting the Premier League title for the first time in a long time. And it didn't materialise, unfortunately. We ended up losing it, with about 3 games to go. So, but nobody actually thought that Rodgers was going to get the sack. Nobody in their right minds thought that Rodgers was on his way, basically. And yeah, so Jurgen Klopp came into the club on the 8th of October 2015. He was appointed, and his first press conference was very, very uplifting, very giving the Liverpool fans, confidence and morale going forward for the season and for the future seasons. And he sort of gave like a preview of what he wants to do in the future with Liverpool Football Club, how he wants Liverpool to play, and how he wants the supporters of the club to behave. And the fact that we keep talking about history and what we've done in the past, and that being like a burden for Liverpool, for our fans, really, for everyone, for the club, for everyone associated with the club. And yeah, he really just lifted the whole atmosphere in the club as soon as he came to Liverpool, and we were very, very happy to have him as a manager. All Liverpool fans around the world were very happy that he was appointed the manager, because there was also, I think, Carlo Ancelotti was another candidate along with a few others, and yeah, we were fearing the worst. We were thinking that hopefully they don't go and get another, young up and coming manager. And that would have been a disaster for Liverpool. It really would have taken us back, further back than we were when Rodgers left the club. And I mean, I'm not in the kind of thinking that some Liverpool fans were, that Rodgers ruined Liverpool. He didn't ruin Liverpool. Rodgers did well with the tools at his disposal. He did well. I mean, you can't ask for much more, because the squad that he had, the players at his disposal, were not good enough. Apart from, Gerrard, Suarez, Sturridge, and maybe Sterling and a couple of others, the rest of the players were average or even below average. So you can't expect a young up-and-coming manager to produce miracles with this kind of squad of players. And of course he wasn't, apart from the 13-14 season where we absolutely blitzed it. We were on fire, and we were playing some of the best football that this country has ever seen for so many years. And it was just a pleasure to watch that season. It really was. It was a pleasure to be a Liverpool supporter, a Liverpool fan, and we were so unfortunate the way we lost it in the end. And very unlucky, the Gerrard incident, and then in the Chelsea game, and then the bloody Crystal Palace game where we were 3-0 up with about 11 minutes to go, and somehow we managed to throw it away. But I think by then the players sort of realised that they were not going to be able to win it because, Manchester City were on their coattails, and I think they had a couple of games in hand over us against, easier opposition. And we all feared the worst. We knew that they were going to win those games and get over the line, basically, take the title at the last. And it was a massive, massive dent in our morale, in our confidence, And a lot of Liverpool fans started to fear the worst for the coming seasons. And so in the 15-16 season, it culminates with Rodgers getting the sack. And then Herr Klopp, the mad German, comes into our club. And he starts to change things. He starts to change the way we play, the philosophy of the team, the way he wants Liverpool to attack teams, the way he wants Liverpool to, always be on the front foot, to have the energy, high intensity, pressing game. And this is exactly what he started to implement in his first, the first couple of games that he came in to the club. And we got some very impressive victories, against the likes of Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, where we won 3-1. Despite conceding in about the 4th minute, we absolutely annihilated them in the game. And we also beat Manchester City 4-1 at the Etihad, which was another very big result for Klopp and for Liverpool. And I think in the League Cup we smashed Southampton 6-1, was it? Away from home, yeah. So we had some very big victories, some very big performances in the first months of Jurgen Klopp's reign. But of course, as I said before, the squad that he inherited from Rodgers was simply not good enough to be consistent, to win maybe 5 or 6 games in a row in the league, or to do better things. And we ended up starting to fall away in the league again because we also went on an unbelievable mazy run in the League Cup and the Europa League, which took us to the final in both of those competitions, playing some outstanding football, beating the likes of Manchester United, Villarreal and Borussia Dortmund in the Europa League. And we got to the final of the League Cup to play Manchester City. And it was a decent game, but the way we lost it was bloody depressing. I mean, on penalties again, and we managed to get a late equaliser through Felipe Coutinho in the second half, and we took the game into extra time. But both teams were knackered by the time of extra time, and it was a very high octane game, very fast game, and both teams gave their all, and they were tired in the end. So and it went to penalties, and we lost the game 3-1 on penalties to Man City, and that was the first trophy down the drain. Then we went on to the month of May, near to the end of the season, and we played Sevilla in Basel. Now, Liverpool took the lead in that game, an outstanding goal from Sturridge, who just curled it round the goalkeeper. He sort of, had a great shot that went into the corner of the net. He curled it round the keeper, and it's 1-0, nearing to half-time. And we're thinking, this is Liverpool's day. We're going to win this trophy. We're going to win the Europa League and then get into the Champions League group stages. But of course, when you've got players like Moreno and Dejan Lovren and Mignolet in goal, then you never know what's going to happen. It's always open to different permutations, different results. And of course, Moreno had a nightmare in the second half, and we ended up throwing the game away and just handing the trophy to Sevilla, and they won the game 3-1. And we lost that final, and it was very disappointing because despite it being Klopp's, first season in charge, and we shouldn't be expecting too much of him, when you get to a final, you never want to lose. It doesn't matter whether you're the underdog or you're the favourite. You never want to lose that final. And especially a team like Liverpool, who have been used to winning trophies for many years, since the 60s. And we've always done well in finals of competitions. We haven't lost that many, I don't think. But so Klopp, in his first season, achieved this kind of thing. And then it came on to the second season, the 16-17 season. And again, this time, he had a full summer to prepare the squad. He had a full, let's say 3 months, 2.5, 3 months to get the squad ready, to look at the players that he had at his disposal and which ones he wanted to get rid of and which ones he wanted to keep in the team, in the squad. And he also made a couple of additions. I think he brought in Sadio Mane, Karius as a goalkeeper, which I wish he hadn't of. I don't know what he saw in Karius that made him think that he's good enough for Liverpool, but that's another story anyway. And Ragnar Klavan, I think it was, and also Joel Matip, who he brought into the team. And we started the season playing some outstanding football. We really did. We were at the top of the league, and I think around December time it was, in the 16-17 season, we started to go back again because of that bloody Bournemouth game. You know, we were league leaders when we went to Bournemouth, and we were winning the game 3-1 in the second half, and there's about 15 to 20 minutes left of the game to go. And somehow, in unbelievable fashion, we had a massive meltdown. We had a massive capitulation and lost the game 4-3. With Karius making mistakes in goal, the bloody goalkeeper. I don't understand why Klopp played him in that game. He didn't need to play him, and he put him into the goal, and we lost the game. I feel if Mignolet had been playing, even though he's a dodgy keeper, I don't think he would have conceded the goals that Karius conceded, and we would have won that game somehow, the Bournemouth game, and kept at the top of the league. But as soon as we lost that game, and Chelsea started to get on a run of victories, and I think they ended up winning 13 or 14 games in a row to get to the top of the league. And yeah, the season was gone. And then we had that nightmare where Sadio Mane had to go to the Africa Cup of Nations, and we lost him for about 5 weeks. And Coutinho ended up getting injured in a game against Sunderland, I think it was, just before the new year. And all of a sudden, from looking like genuine title contenders, looking good to win the league, we ended up dropping down all the way out of the Champions League positions. We dropped down to 5th, I think it was, at one stage. And we had that terrible January and until mid-February where we didn't win any games. I think we went about 9 games without a victory. Or we only won 1 game, and that was in the FA Cup against bloody Plymouth, a 4th division team. So that really ruined our season, and there was a lot of criticism, a lot of anger towards Klopp because his tactics were not right, and he was constantly trying to play the same way, despite changing his team, his players, and it wasn't coming off. We were getting beaten by silly teams, you know, Hull City, Swansea City, who were bottom of the league when they came to Anfield, and they won the game 3-2 in a terrible way. We were actually 2-2. We got the game back to 2-2, despite being 2-0 down, going into the final 10 minutes of the game. And somehow we managed to lose the ball in midfield, and they caught us on a counter-attack and won the game 3-2. So, yeah, it was a bit of naivety. It was a bit of not knowing the squad properly, Klopp, and what they can handle, what they can't handle. And, yeah, we threw it away, really, because we had a great chance that season. We were not playing in Europe. We were not in any European competition at all. And we had a great chance. We were only playing like 1 game a week, I think it was. And because we lost Mane and Coutinho, we went downhill as a result. I think the players actually weren't able to cope with the loss of these 2 players. If they had just been a bit more confident, a bit more organised, and we tried to play in a different way, a different system, we might have got out of the sticky situation, and we would have done better. But it wasn't to be, and we fell away. And thankfully, towards the end of the season, we started to get some victories again, and we got ourselves into the top 4 on the final day, having to beat Middlesbrough at Anfield to qualify for the qualifiers of the Champions League. You know, it wasn't even an automatic qualification place, but it was a base for us to get back into the Champions League, basically. And yeah, that was the end of that season. And we started to see some of Klopp's naivety, and he only has one way of playing, because during the final 3 or 4 months of the season, we could have done much better, but we ended up dropping down to 5th, and we were fortunate that we were able to get back to 4th because Arsenal from somewhere started to make an outstanding run, and they ended up catching us towards the end of the season, and it was only the final game that enabled us to get above them and to stay I think 1 point ahead of them. So we were lucky, but we deserved to be there. But the way we capitulated in the second half of the season was not good, and a lot of Liverpool fans started to fear the worst because we could plainly see that this squad is not good enough, and it hasn't got enough depth. We didn't have anybody to bring off the bench that could change the game, that could win the game for us on the day. So yeah, that was the end of the 16-17 season. And then we came to the 17-18 season, and we had the whole Coutinho saga. Felipe Coutinho saga. Is he going to leave? Is he going to stay? And it really just ruined the summer for Liverpool fans because we were constantly panicking, constantly in fear that he's going to bugger off to Barcelona. And he ended up staying for some reason, and he left in January. But until he left, he played some outstanding football. He really did, and he got us playing some great football, both in the Champions League and in the league. Now, City were unbelievable in the 17-18 season. They were on fire, and nobody was anywhere near them. Nobody was able to catch them, and yeah, we had a decent end to the first sort of half of the season. Playing some good football again, winning some good games, and but we picked up a lot of draws, a lot of silly draws away from home. Against the likes of Newcastle, and I can't remember a few other teams. Yeah, we ended up drawing with Burnley at home, and Newcastle away, and a couple of other games I can't remember. Yeah, West Bromwich Albion at home we drew with again. So we lost a lot of points to these teams for no reason. I mean, if Klopp's tactics had just been a bit more better, instead of trying to go gung ho full 90 minutes and win the game, if he had just calmed the pace down and then just looked to hit them on the counter attack, then we might have got 3 points. But it didn't happen, and we went into the new year still renewed confidence, renewed optimism, and we actually got Virgil van Dijk in the January transfer window, because in the summer at the beginning of the season in the summer we tried to sign him, but Southampton reported Liverpool for allegedly tapping the player up, and we were not looking like we were going to be able to buy him, and they weren't going to sell the player to us, Southampton. So somehow, when we put the money there in January, they sold him. This is the thing that I've always been saying about FSG. If you spend the money, there's no player that can reject it. There's no club that will reject it. If you meet the asking price of the club, of the player that you're trying to sign, then they will 90% of the time, 95% of the time, they will sell that player to you. It's all about the money in modern day football. And with FSG and their constant, mind games and PR and, telling us that we don't have money, we can't spend money for players, we have to buy cheaper alternatives, and we have to buy younger players. It's not actually anything to do with the money. It's just the way that they want to run Liverpool Football Club. The fact that they don't go after world-class players, and they're always, trying to buy younger, cheaper alternatives, who in the future, if they become good players, they develop, they realise their potential, then they can sell them for a big profit in the future. So this is the reason why they were not buying these top quality players, and Liverpool fans were starting to get pissed off. We were starting to get annoyed with this method of running our club. And yeah, when we actually went out and acquired Van Dijk, it was a brilliant moment in Liverpool Football Club. It really was, and it gave the whole fan base a massive lift going into the second half of the season. And the results were almost immediate, because before Van Dijk came into the defence, we were all over the place again. We were playing some outstanding attacking football, fast-paced football, but at the back we were always liable to concede with a dodgy goalkeeper and an even dodgier defence with the likes of Dejan Lovren, Ragnar Klavan, and in some games Moreno, who for some unknown reason is still in the bloody squad. I don't understand why Klopp keeps him there. He should have been sold by now. You're not using him. You're not playing him in any games. Just get rid of him. Sell him in January, and let's see how much money we can get for him, and then we can buy another left back, a quality left back to help out Andy Robertson when needed. There's no point in holding on to Moreno anymore, because he's not going to be featuring in the team anymore, I don't think, unless we're playing some weak opposition in a cup competition. But the fact that we've been knocked out of the League Cup only leaves the FA Cup. So I don't think that Klopp will play him in the league games if he's not forced to anyway. And yeah, we just hold on to these average players, the likes of Mignolet, Moreno, Lovren's still there, Henderson. We've gotten rid of a lot of deadwood players, but we still need to get these players out of the club and replace them as soon as possible, because the second half of the season was very good. When Van Dijk came into the team, we started to win games. We started to look solid again. And we had that unbelievable 4-3 victory over Manchester City, who were unbeaten at the time. They were league leaders and they were unbeaten. And they were thinking that they're going to win the league without losing a single game. And Liverpool just smashed them at Anfield. We also smashed them in the Champions League. The 3-0 at Anfield and then the 2-1 at the Etihad. And we knocked them out of the European Cup as well, on our way to the final. And yeah, we had another decent run in the league, Premier League, getting to fourth again. But the final month of the season, we threw points away again. We could easily have ended up in the top two, the top three of the league, ahead of Tottenham and Man United. But because Klopp wanted to rest certain players for the upcoming Champions League games, the semi-finals and then the final in Kiev, we lost a lot of points to the likes of Everton in the derby, 0-0, and then Stoke at home, where we drew again 0-0 in a very disappointing game again. And I think we also dropped points in another game. I can't remember now. Oh, West Bromwich Albion, of course. We were 2-0 up in that game and we ended up drawing 2-2 in the final 10 minutes. Another capitulation at the back. And this is a story of Liverpool, really, basically, going into the end of the season. But we had something to look forward to. We had a massive European Cup final to look forward to against Real Madrid after playing some outstanding games in the Champions League and getting all the way to the final, beating the likes of Porto, Manchester City and then Roma in the semi-finals to get to the final in Kiev. And yeah, we were all on cloud nine, Liverpool fans. We were all singing the songs, Ale, 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 and we were thinking we're going to win it. We're going to smash Real Madrid in the final and win that cup, for the sixth time in our history. But what happens typically to Liverpool? We ended up losing our best player of the season, Mohamed Salah, to an unbelievable rugby tackle by the thug that is Ramos. He pulled him down, he dropped on top of Salah, and he pushed his shoulder onto the pitch. And the man got severely injured, Salah. And some people were saying at the time that he should be more of a man. He shouldn't be crying and this and that. But if you do that to any person, they will get injured. Doesn't matter how strong you are. The way that he fell down and the force that he fell down onto the pitch. And Ramos, falling next to him, on top of him. And that just damaged his shoulder severely. So he wasn't able to carry on. And as soon as we lost Salah, the whole momentum of the first 20-25 minutes where we were on top against Real Madrid, we were dominating the game. And it was looking like we were going to score at some time during the first half. And then as soon as Salah goes off, we completely lose it. The confidence of the team just goes. It evaporates. And when you've got an idiot like Karius in goal who can't hold on to a ball, and he ended up conceding 2 dodgy goals. The second goal that Gareth Bale scored, that unbelievable overhead kick, was magical. No goalkeeper in the world could have done anything to stop that shot. So yeah, we lost the game very disappointingly after so many good matches in the Champions League, so many good memories in the Champions League that season, last season. Yeah, we threw it away really after Salah came off. Mane didn't look the same player. Firmino was nowhere in the game. He was looking lost. He was looking disinterested. And I think we relied on Salah too much last season. He scored a lot of goals, I think 43 or 44 goals in all competitions. And yeah, he had an outstanding, unbelievable season. But the way he came off in the final really, really just was like a dagger through the heart. I mean, we were so good going into the final. We had such momentum, such rhythm to go and win it for the 6th time. And to dent Madrid's, chance of trying to get a third Champions League in a row, but it wasn't to be, and we lost the final. Everyone was, angry. Everyone was livid with bloody Loris Karius and the way he conceded those goals. The first goal where he just handed it to Benzema, just put his hand out like this and just gave him the ball and he put it into the empty net. And then the third goal that we conceded, I don't think we would have got back into the game anyway, but, still, it was 2-1. And anything could have happened in the final 10, 15 minutes. We could have got a penalty. We could have scored from a corner again, a free kick. And the idiot just concedes that goal and ruins our chances again. And we end up losing the game 3-1 to Real Madrid. It's not very often that you get to the European Cup final and you have to make the most of it. And that's what really dented me. That really depressed me at the end of the game. Because I was thinking to myself, when are we going to get back into the European Cup final again? Could be many years. Could be decades, who knows? Depending on what kind of group we get next year, the football that we can play, the players that we bring in. There was a lot of options, a lot of things that could change during the summer. And thankfully, we ended up buying some great players with the capture of Fabinho at the beginning of the summer. I think a few days after the final, Champions League final, I was sitting downstairs watching television. And I thought to myself, I'm going to check the teletext to see what's going on the BBC One. And I've seen, it says, Liverpool sign Fabinho for 34 million or 39 million or something like that. I'm thinking, what's going on? We didn't have any inkling to this happening. There was no, how do you say, any evidence of this kind of transfer going to happen. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, we managed to buy this decent player, this great player who played for Monaco, the Brazilian. And it was brilliant. I mean, it just lifted my morale. As soon as I saw the signing, it just gave me another morale booster for the upcoming season. And then, of course, we ended up, bringing in Keita, who we signed the previous season. And along with the goalkeeper, Alisson, outstanding goalkeeper. And we went and bought him for £67 million, I think it was. Unbelievable money, massive money. That we got used to FSG not spending this kind of money. Nowhere near this kind of money. That they were tight to not spend 30 million, 25 million, let alone 67, 70 million. And it was a massive boost for the Liverpool fans. And of course, Shaqiri, the final piece of the jigsaw coming in near to the end of the summer. And we were on cloud nine again, Liverpool fans. And then, the pre-season, we had a very good pre-season in America. The games we played, we beat the likes of Man City, Man United, Napoli in Ireland. And then we finished off by beating Torino at Anfield. And we were looking lethal again. We were looking very good, brushing teams aside, beating Man City 2-1, beating Man United 4-1, Napoli 5-0. And then I think we beat Torino 3-1. We were scoring goals for fun again, and we were looking like we're going to blitz the league. And we started the league in great fashion. The 18-19 season, where Klopp seemed to have a much more balanced team, a much more confident team that can handle these kind of dodgy games that in the past Liverpool would throw away, to the likes of West Ham, Crystal Palace, and Brighton. These were all dodgy games for Liverpool in the past. The last 3 or 4 years, we would have been panicking and we would have been fearing the worst going into these games. But we managed to win all of them. We managed to win all these games, and I ended up going to Cyprus for my holiday on the 1st of September, thinking that, of course, we had a good start to the season, but of course we're going to start falling away now, aren't we? I'm thinking to myself, we can't keep this up. And unbelievably, we won all the games. We won 7 out of 7, I think, in total, along with the PSG game in the Champions League. And I'm thinking to myself, we've got this done. We're going to win the Premier League again. And of course, as soon as I come back from holiday, what happens? We lose to Chelsea in the bloody League Cup, despite taking the lead through Sturridge. And you're thinking it's going to unravel from here again. We're going to start going downhill because we had to play Chelsea again in the league, but this time at Stamford Bridge. And with the morale of beating us in the League Cup in the final minutes, we're fearing the worst as Liverpool fans. We're thinking we're gonna lose it. We're going to start falling away again. And Man City and Chelsea, who also had good starts, are going to start moving up the league. start staying at the top of the league, and we're not going to be able to get back into it. But Sturridge scores that unbelievable equaliser against Chelsea into the top corner with a blistering shot from 30 yards, and you're thinking you're on cloud nine again. This is brilliant stuff from Liverpool, unbelievable. Even in a game where we didn't play well, we could have lost that game 2 or 3-0 because Chelsea had other opportunities. We also had opportunities, but we weren't. Our front line wasn't playing well. You know, the likes of Salah, Mane, and Firmino were not gelling, were not able to score, and you're fearing the worst. You're thinking they're gonna do us today. They're gonna beat us again. And he scores that unbelievable goal to shut the Rent Boys up, and we end up getting a point from that game in the final minutes. And then we had the Napoli game in the Champions League. So we had all these tough fixtures at the beginning of this season, the 18-19 season, to try and navigate past, you know, and the other teams didn't have these kind of fixtures. This is not an excuse, of course. You know, we still have a squad that is good enough. We still have a squad that is more than capable of, you know, winning all the games in the league. But when you come up against the likes of Chelsea and Man City, of course, it's not easy, you know. And that's the end of the video, Liverpool fans. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves. Talk to you later.